Well, hello everybody. Happy New Year. And welcome to Final Boss, episode number 65. 65, right? 65. Yes, my name is Adam K, aka Bay, and today's episode, we are paying homage to our new Australian overlords, the Guild Ascension. Sit down with two of their members and talk to them about their new servers and their rise to suddenly like, who are the heck are these guys? But first, before then, just got a random new co-host. Kellerick is out sick, battling IRL, raiding the microbiology in real life right now. But that's okay, because Brutal's here. Hello, sir.
Hello there. My name's Brutal. How are you all from Australia here? Just wanted to say it's a pleasure to be here. I feel like it's my duty to.
Did you lost it?
No, I'm not sure what you're talking about there, sir. Still here. Don't forget, I'm actually from the future. It's 7:30. No, I'm sorry. It's 8:15 in the morning. Gentlemen, is it 8:15 in the morning, gentlemen?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, so I'm with these guys here. As you can clearly see, we are on the same page.
Right.
Just a pleasure to be here. Really is. Really is.
Hi, Ryan. Are you?
You went a bit South African there.
I know, a little bit. I don't know what that was.
Oh man, that was tough.
So our two guests today, we're sitting down with Bear with Stick. There he is, sir. How you doing?
Everyone.
Yeah.
I'm good. How are you?
You're not upside down though. What's up with that?
Yeah, just flip the camera around and it'll be fine.
Right. I'll do that real quick. Let me just flip you upside down. All right. Well, it's good to see you on the show.
Good to speak to you.
Alrighty. And then there's Bubbles as well from Ascension. Also, there.
Yo. Hey guys.
I don't know why Ryan. Why was Brutal upside down? It's just different cameras.
You guys do not sound like Australians, all right? I'm pretty sure. I nailed that accent.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
At the
It was
start,
pretty
you
good.
Pretty good at the start. Did he lose it toward the end there, Bubbles? What do you think?
Yeah, it became South African, so.
Oh.
But
okay.
it was still good.
I try to incorporate and encompass the general populace, all right? I'm not so narrow-minded to where I have to be one specific brand of people. I just use people as a brand. Never mind.
Wow. You use people as a branding? All right, that's fair. We went over that before the show started, like how to do, should we all talk in Australian accents? And I think, Bubbles, you said that it's to figure out how to pronounce words the laziest possible. Is that how it works?
Yeah, the laziest way possible.
Okay.
Just very quick and lazy.
Okay. Well, we'll try to keep that after the show. I don't know. That was pretty awesome. I don't even know. I rushed my intro because I wanted to make sure there's enough time to get to whatever Ryan was going to do. I think we got there. So pretty awesome stuff.
We're good.
We're good. We're good. Oh my goodness. So welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to the show. And the second time I've had anyone from the other side of the planet on the show today. I thought it was a neat time to schedule something in here. We did a Paragon interview recently about them taking the World First Cup, but then during the whole Heimal raid, like ladder climb, all of a sudden this guild Ascension came out of nowhere. And I did some research in the background, and you guys were like, you were there in MoP, but you weren't like there. And you've garnished 4 World Firsts in Heimal. So I'm gonna throw this over real quick here to I'll go to Bubbles first. Like who the heck are you guys? Give me a little bit about you, and then the guild, sir. Go for it.
So Weather Raiders Down Under, basically, and it's true. Without the servers, we were like ranked 9 US, and we found people and made beta testing, which allowed us to get where we are today. So yeah, it's just a surprise to us as well, as much as it is to anyone else. So it's awesome to be here. It's awesome to have our rank, and we hope to keep it up in Blackrock Foundry.
Yeah, hashtag the real race, right?
Yeah.
as it is. And then Bubbles, again, you play Shadow Priest, correct? And you're also an officer in the guild?
Yeah, I'm an officer. I'm in charge of the ranged, and I raid lead as well. We have like multiple raid leaders though, so it's not just me that does the work. As well as, yeah, I play a Shadow Priest, so I can do everything but AoE.
Right, which is funny because I'm the exact opposite. I can do AoE and then nothing else. So
yeah.
Right. And then Bear, you are also an officer of the guild, if I was correct.
Yeah, I am.
And you are you're not a bear, actually.
Yeah, feral druid.
Yes.
So yeah, I write all the guides for the boss guides for the raid prior to it coming out. So I've done all the ones for Highmoor, and I've got a busy month ahead of me about to start doing the ones for Blackrock Foundry. Oof. And yeah, besides that, I'm also in charge of the melee. Not that I have much to do, just tell them to not follow the boss into the middle on Korag. That's about it. The room.
Oh,
bad, they love going in there, though.
Yes,
hey, we want to get that huge shield so we don't have to worry about all the fire damage because the melee doesn't spread out properly.
Unbelievable.
Indeed.
Unbelievable.
No, that's awesome. I think we talked about this before and how it's like this interesting about a conjecture right now on, are you guys the #1 US guild too? Because until you had your own servers, the Oceanic realms were all ranked in US.
Yep.
So is that how it's going to be?
I don't know. Like, we tried to, when we first got the US first, Oceanic first, whatever you want to call it, we tried to put both in a title, so a slash there. So we didn't want to antagonize any of the US guilds and make them think, we're like anything like that. But to me, it is like we always got ranked as a US guild, and then the minute that we got US first, they wanted to cut us out of there. Like, nah, you're not in there. But yeah, I don't know. Either way, to me, it's fine. Like, Oceanic first, US first. If you don't count us US, I don't mind. The big thing for us was World Fifths, really. Like, that was the one that took us by surprise. So yeah.
I think that all boils down to the world ranked stage. I think that works fine. I mean, Ryan, both of us are US raiders. I mean, what do you think about how do we have to have all these different regions now for everything? Do we need like a US? Do we need a Chinese? Do we need an European? Do we need an Oceanic? Do we need like all
I feel that since you and I are like world 771st now.
Yeah, whatever we are.
I feel like our opinion doesn't really matter at this point in time. I mean, we are not on the same level as these guys. That being said, I don't personally care either way, because I do agree with the statement that it's all about the world rank. Like, you can claim to be US first, you can claim to be Chinese first, or whatever it may be, but it's all about that world first, baby. I mean, I don't know the first. I guess Style War was Chinese first, but the point is, I wouldn't know the first of every region. I care about world first,
Right.
Like, that's who you're looking up to, and you're like, dang, that's the guild right there. That's just my opinion, mind you.
Yeah,
it's good.
We have a lot of like interesting not growing pains, but definitely ways to grow as a community to rank all this stuff now that Mythic is the solo ladder. There's no 10-25 arguments anymore. It's just the solo ladder Mythic, period.
Yep.
So, yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Well, I'm going to bring up the first Q&A just to get the professionally dressed elephant in the room out of here, just because everyone's wondering about how this became to be. So, first question comes in from Valkyrian on Twitter. So how have the new servers located in Oceania affected raiding and just your ability to play and enjoy the game in general? So Bubbles, I'll throw this over to you first.
So in general, it's amazing. Basically, to explain it, I think today we raided to clear Mythic Highmoor, and we were stuck with US servers. So we were back to our old ping, and it was terrible. We could not do it. It was like we were like in a new guild. Oh man, like I'm gonna have nightmares tonight when I go to bed. So yeah, it's interrupting is easier. Everything is easier with normal ping when you're not handicapped. So it makes a huge difference for sure. And I'm very, very happy that this surprise came to us just before Warlords of Draenor.
Yeah. So I guess back up for a second. You said you're back on, because we barely talked about this before the show setting up, and then we didn't know how that worked. Is that you said you're on US servers again right now? So do you have? How does the servers like push around where all the people go? Like, what does that even mean?
Well, we don't really know what happened, but basically, we were in Oceanic servers when we were outside of raid. But once we zoned in and got to the instance server, we were transferred to an American server because we're still linked with US servers.
Right. So
we were raiding with 200 MS again, and we kept trying to reset, but it just kept giving us US ping. We just had to stick with it. It was fun.
That sucks.
is that
Yeah.
doesn't that sort of isn't that counterproductive to the whole point of you guys having your own servers now, that the instance server still ties to US?
Yeah, but I'm just happy that it didn't happen during progression, because if it happened during then,
Right. You
I
wouldn't be
would've,
here.
yeah, definitely wouldn't be here.
Huh. Yeah. But take it a little farther, if you have something to add to that, Bear. How does servers work for you guys? I mean, how does that
I like the big things. I don't know if you guys can understand it. It's just interrupts is the big one, and just how spells are instant. Like, if, for example, if I used to use a knockback, there's a delay, and the very first time I played on a server, that was the first thing I noticed, is when I was using Typhoon, and it was just going off straight away, and I was just like amazed by it. It was so cool and awesome. So when that's like, those are the big things. Then in Raid, obviously, it comes into, you know, avoiding mechanics, all that sort of stuff makes it easier, but you don't really notice that as much as you notice, like, your casts are ending when they're meant to, and your interrupts are going off straight away, and you're knocking stuff back, all that sort of thing. That's where it's most noticeable.
Well, I mean, one of the things that springs to my mind, and this is from a casual scrub perspective of Static, all right? One of the tanks of Static, very casual guild. I mean, Brackenspore springs to mind. You have that fungal flesh eater, whatever the big ad is, and toward the end of his life, he's casting pretty darn quickly there. I mean, that has to be pretty scary for somebody playing at 200 plus MS. And thankfully, you guys weren't during progression. But I mean, how did you handle stuff like that back in the day? Like, because certainly there were fast casting NPCs before that specific NPC, of course.
Well, when I was raiding in Kata, sorry. First tier of Kata, Maloriak and Nefarian, those two.
Right.
They used to have very vicious fast cast, like I think 1 second or something like that. And that was one of the hardest times, I think, for Oceanic Raiders, those casts. And it was just, it's so hard to, because like, first, you know, you got the 200 MS, you interrupt, and then you think you've got it, and it doesn't go off. And then last night when we were doing Brackenspore, it was noticeable once again. Like, you interrupt the fungal flesh eater, and you sit there, you look at it, you're waiting for it to go off, and then it interrupts after you've already pressed your button, and it's like risky. It was so scary last night raiding it back again on that ping. You can't trust yourself anymore. That's how I describe it.
I guess I'm like kind of confused. I'm sure there's certain limitations on population for the server clusters they've developed over there in Australia for the oceanic side of the world. But I also don't know how it's supposed to be helpful that the instance servers still backlog you across the world again. Because arguably, in my opinion, everything outside of raids can be laggy. But in the raids, they shouldn't be and can't be because of those reasons just talked about.
Well, there's a few complaints on the forums, on the Oceanic forums at the moment, about they're making People's Garrison the Australian server. And they're saying, oh, why are you making this Australian servers when you should be prioritizing raids and stuff like that? But in saying that, that was the first time we came across it, like, as a raid group since the expansion came out. You'll get put into dungeons sometimes, you know, when you're in, like, LFD and stuff like that, but that's no big deal because that's just going to happen because you put with American players, and it's unfair for you guys to be put on our servers.
Darn right it is. Don't you forget it.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting how that is, because if you guys have, and I assume, is your entire raid, is the entire roster for Ascension Australian or on the same realm down there, like New Zealand and stuff like that? You don't have anyone raiding with you guys from the other side of the world?
We have. Yeah, you go. I'll let you take it.
We have an American that's a core raider. We have Abuse.
Go America!
Yeah. I'm sure he was over the moon about it, having low MS again.
Wait, what class does this American play?
A rogue.
It's acceptable. Better than a Shadow Priest, right? Huh?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I'm kidding. Don't worry. You guys are great in AoE. No, I'll be bringing you to all the AoE fights. Don't worry.
Right. So,
but
anyone else? Yeah, how's that?
We have.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, we've got. I think that's one American, but we've also got a person from Italy. He used to be from Australia, but he's moved to Italy. So he usually gets 300 ping to Oceanic servers. So he went down to 150 or something. So he was happy as well.
Pretty big improvement.
So, you know, 2 people were happy, the rest were raging and upset.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still really concerned. Hopefully they get that. I mean, it's a step in the right direction. When I first saw that post about the Australian servers, the oceanic side of the world getting their own cluster, I was like, oh, that's amazing. Because we had the episode before about that.
Yep.
And it's one more step now, but it seems like it's also a step back if the instance server can still back you up to across the planet.
That sucks. That really does.
It's interesting. I wonder if that, because now that that'll affect, and now to be devil's advocate, that'll affect your progression in Blackrock Foundry. Because if you're playing at the 40 to 60 ms with your own server cluster, if you go back to 250 to 300 in Blackrock Foundry, which is most easily more arguable that the final couple of bosses are much more harder than the entire instance of Highmaul.
Let's just say if it was happening on progression, we wouldn't be too happy, but we didn't experience it on progression. So yeah, we'll hope that it's fixed by then. I think it was just, probably just an error or something on their behalf or something like that.
Right. Well, either an error or that there are a lot more guilds right now doing content after like the initial bleeding edge get in there. Maybe when you guys were going in immediately when the servers came up for progression when Mythic is available, like only you're in there or only you and Avast are in there right now for Oceanic. So there's not a lot of people that need to cluster the server off to make, extra Mythic sides and then throw you over to America. So hopefully.
Good point.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Makes sense, I suppose, yes.
Makes sense. So what are your guys, Bear, what's your MS before the server change? What it is like right now?
I was somewhere between 190 and 210 depending on the day and time, like that. And then now it's around, on a good day, it can be anywhere from 25 to 45, somewhere in that range.
That's a huge difference. That is astronomical.
It's a new game.
That's like going from rating in Static or Crisp to rating in Ascension. That's a huge sweep, man.
My
That's just
goodness.
boom, just huge. Woo! That's awesome.
Someone compared it to I'm not sure if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, but Piccolo training with his weights on for 10 years and then taking them off. So
yeah,
Scouters.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
yeah. So get the thing off your face, right? right. Yeah.
So yeah.
That's crazy, though. That is absolutely wild.
And then on the same sort of realm, because dot snapshotting for both Kitty Cat and Shadow Priest is a big deal back in Mists. Now, since it's gone, but you don't have to worry about it with the lag issue, like how was trying to do Shadow Priest back in MoP with the lag bubbles compared to now?
Personally, don't really have any complaints about it back then. Ping wasn't too much of an issue. I kept not to brag, but I kept getting rank 1s with the ping, so I didn't really find it too much of an issue. So yeah, for me personally, yes.
But then you brought up right now. I wanted to get you into the topic of that you used to remember how to precast things based on the fact that the server has your spell.
Yeah.
But now you'll try to to get into the new mindset of that you don't actually have to worry about that lag anymore. You clip your spells and you stop casting them accidentally because you're trying to meta the game, but you don't have to anymore. So you're backwards learning right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. So with the 200 ping, basically, what would happen was I would cast VT on a target, and I'd start walking early because with lag, it registers as you're moving that you finished casting, so you could pre-move. And I used to do it with the mount as well. I'd mount up and start moving before I actually finished the cast because I was on 200 ms. Wow. But now with the servers, with the Oceanic servers sitting on 20 ping, I will start casting VT mid-raid in progression, Mythic progression, and I'll start moving and cancel my cast because I'm used to the 10 years of 200 ms.
Yeah.
And
that's extremely annoying. Extremely annoying. But
I mean, it's a positive, but it's like relearning a game again.
Exactly, yeah. So that's when you're leveling and trying to mount up, and then you keep canceling them out. You're like, why? Why is this happening?
Right.
Bay, if I may interject.
Ah.
I think we've beaten this horse enough. I'm really curious about something. I would like to transition to it if it's all right by you, yes. Sir host of Final Boss.
Go for it. Yeah.
Dude, I want to talk about some black market auction house nonsense.
Oh, no.
All right. I want to talk to these guys about some black market auction house nonsense.
Right.
Because that was a pretty big point of contention amongst some guilds, and I don't know Ascension's stance on it. and I would like to know at least two of the officers' viewpoints on this. So, Black Market Auction House, when it comes to raiding, what did Ascension do? Did you guys actually participate in the Black Market Auction House? Did you do any crazy transfers? Did you steal loot from other servers? I want to know, did you pull the Style War, or did you kind of keep to yourselves in your own server?
Right. Bubbles going first, or Bear? Okay, Bear, go for it.
Okay, so initially the plan was to go to other servers and
You
steal
cheater!
from.
Unbelievable!
But,
I cannot believe you just admit I'm...
That's all right. That's fine. But in the end, like, you're limited in the amount of gold you can spend, and we thought it'd be better investment of our guild bank's money to put into BOEs. And so we were buying those up instead of buying black market auction house items. And just the logistics in trying to get someone across to a server in time to actually purchase the item before someone else got it, it's pretty difficult to get that to work. So we decided against it.
That much of a problem,
No, well,
oh boy,
they got a completely different set of rules for their transfers and stuff. I think,
Yeah.
So it's like that's why what we planned on doing, but we couldn't get it done.
Yeah. So I mean, that's something you were planning. So just to be absolutely clear, that's something you would have taken advantage of if you could have taken advantage of it.
Yeah, because like any endgame guild's they're
Absolutely
gonna do everything possible to get the gear that they need.
Before you finish that sentence, absolutely. Bay and I talked about this behind the scenes, and I'll talk real quick. When it comes to world first racing, if one guild's doing it, it pretty much forces all the other guilds to do it too. I mean, even if it is unbalanced or unfair that the Chinese can do it more often for less money, whatever the rules are for them, I mean, if you guys are competing against that, then you kind of have to do the same if you want to have that much more of an edge or a chance in the world first race. And it sucks, and I hope they change it, and I know there's been a lot of uproar about it, so that's interesting, very interesting.
Yeah. The frustrating point is that the US and EU and now the oceanic side of the world, we all play on the same game version, and we don't have the same ability to do that.
Right.
So, I mean, we checked up here. I brought up like some actual statistics before chat room like freaks out about all the BMAH stuff, which when I looked up this is usually incredibly disheartening. So, Ascension's guild eye level. Now, how the guild eye level scanner works on WoW Progress is it takes your top 25 highest eye level people and averages them together against 25. So you get your guild eye level average. When Ascension killed Margok, their guild eye level was 673.97. All right. Paragon was 668.14. Just barely ahead, right? Barely ahead. Now with the clear again, Ascension had one extra clear before they killed Margok.
Right. So that
Style War 677.78.
Golly.
And to put that into one perspective on a single character, their top Unholy Death Knight had 5 pieces of gear from Blackrock Foundry.
Jeez.
5.
That's nuts. That is nuts.
And to go back on what Davis said before on his interview, he had boots.
Boots, eh?
Just a pair of boots. Yeah. And to go... the whole topic point is that yes, Style War lost the world first race to Paragon. So there's obviously a complete skill, discussion here. That's not to be disputed. The dispute here is that now Ascension, you guys lost to Style War because of the BMAH buying, because of more time spent. Like, what does that make you guys from that perspective? Like, Bear, or Bubbles, go for it. What is it? How does that work for you guys? What do you think of that situation?
So I have like multiple perspectives of the situation with Black Market Auction House and specifically Style War. So for them, they had easy access to gold, where we had a restricted amount from selling because we didn't buy any gold. But for them, it's easy to acquire gold. It's easier for them to transfer, and it's easier for them to just buy items. So they took advantage of what they were dealt, what they were given.
Right.
That's completely fine. But so for them, in their eyes, that's completely fine. And any guild would have done probably the same thing with the vision of getting world first. But personally, I don't really count them as a world in the same competition, basically.
Right.
So I view myself ahead of them, but at the same time, I don't want to go around complaining and crying about, oh, they cheated, blah blah blah. I don't care. Rank 5 in the world, I'm happy with that. We weren't ready for that.
Here's a question for you. I mean, you just said you don't want to run around, whining and complaining, and totally, I got you. I don't like to be labeled as a complainer as much as I do complain about various things. It's just not something I'd like to do. But is it actually complaining in the grand scheme of things? Like, if we're supposed to all be on a level playing field, if we're all supposed to be competing for world first, shouldn't we all have the same rule set? I mean, shouldn't we all have the same abilities or same access or whatever the case may be? So in other words, while yes, there's definitely a way to complain about it, isn't there also isn't there some validity, I should say, behind those complaints? I mean,
yeah, of course.
You can also you can not whine about it. That don't whine, but I think it should be brought up personally. That's just me.
I think there's some justice to it though, because I think most people go off WoW Progress to see how guilds are progressing and who got world first. So they've gone out and made a post saying people that are abusing the Black Market Auction House next tier will not be counted into the race. They'll be basically excluded. So for me, that's justice, and that's what I go off. So if that wasn't there, maybe then I would be more angry about it. But yeah.
Sure, definitely. And Bay, I don't want to go too far off topic here, so please either reel me back in or stop me if you need to. But
you're fine.
I mean, to me, that kind of brings a question to mind that I'm pretty sure has been asked countless times. Should Blizzard have some form of formalized or official ranking system for PvE? I mean, yeah, I love WoW Progress. We all check WoW Progress. All of us do.
Or Guildox, even. Guildox.
Yeah, exactly. Guildox, yeah, no offense. Sorry, I don't mean any offense.
Right. I was just...
Absolutely. But should Blizzard have some hand or some say in this world first race for PvE guilds? Luke, Mr. Bear, what are your thoughts?
I have actually never considered the fact that they could do that, to be honest. But it'd be good. Maybe that would allow, you definitely know the official rules and stuff at that point, because you have Blizzard officially saying that's allowed, this isn't allowed, this is okay, that isn't okay. So in that regard, it's probably be good if they ever did it. I'm not too sure whether they will or not, or whether they'd even consider it. Like, I'm not sure if anyone's actually ever asked a Blizzard dev that question. I don't think I've ever seen it anywhere, but it'd be interesting to hear from them and see whether they'd be interested in doing something like that.
Well, not to like self-promote ourselves here, but we're trying to get another dev interview up for like... We want to get another dev interview up for late February, early March, after BlackRock Foundry has been world first cleared, depending on how many weeks it takes to defeat all of that, which we're thinking about 2. One reset, we'll probably see Blackhand defeated. So we're trying to get another interview set up to ask the question of that margin, because this happened, the BMAH stuff happened in Mists of Pandaria. You could buy gear from Shaw of Fear when you're in Mogushan Palace. And now in that regard, that's still only the 10 level jump, because Heart of Fear and Mogushan were the same, and then Terrace was its own separate thing. But it happened then, and it's happening now. The issue why it wasn't a big deal back in MoP was because of the split 10-25 rating progression, and the rating scene wasn't one ladder. And it was like, well, this is easier in 10, this is harder in 25, whatever. Now it is a 20-man mythic only ladder, and different parts of the game can take advantage of systems that other parts of the community cannot. EU, US, Oceanic cannot do what the Chinese World of Warcraft did.
Right.
So what if Style War gets Blackhand world first now, is it really world first? They're playing a different game.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
I will say this about the BMAH. So prior to the raid coming out, at the initial start of the expansion, you were able to buy Conquest gear off the Black Market Auction House. And very quickly, I had actually bought some PvP braces, 660 or something like that. And a couple days later, they got reverted back and changed to the Honor ones, and I got my gold refunded because PvP, the season hadn't started yet. Right. So why don't they just do the same thing with PvE gear? Like, you shouldn't be able to get it yet. The instance hasn't started.
Yep.
And then you avoid a lot of these problems. And
I completely agree. Yeah, completely agree. I mean, and Bay, you've said this time and time again.
Right.
Gear that is not accessible by typical means should not be accessible by gold.
Correct.
It's as simple as that.
Yep.
Like, and that's from a Raiders perspective, whether you're Ascension, World 5th, or again, World 771st, or whatever Bay and I are. It should not be accessible. If you can't go and kill a boss and get that piece of gear, then why in God's green earth should we be able to buy it? It's completely, it boggles my mind. Boggles my mind.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Now, I want to get some more from Bubbles on this too, but I'm going to give you the thought that Blizzard openly sort of said at the end of MOP that they're no longer designing the content and or the game around the top 1% of the world race for PvE. Now, whereas where I can respect that from like a game dev perspective, like we're designing our game for all of our players, not just this top 0.8% of the world. But my also thought is that you guys, in that generalization again, the top raiders in the world, give Blizzard and World of Warcraft specifically so much amazing PR with streams, with content, through all the time you spend to defeat their content and make the world stage go like, holy crap. That's what I was saying, because when the servers came up for US, you guys were raiding. And like, I'd get home from work and you guys had 4 bosses dead. And I was like, who the hell is Ascension? Like, that makes me, as a player, even though I am on a more hardcore scale than lots of the game, go like, holy crap. So I don't believe their stance on this. Like, they have to understand that you guys do not appreciate that you can pay to win, basically. And that's on the same playing field, right?
He said it.
I did say
Pay
it.
to win.
I did. The chat room's already saying it too. So, but that, I mean, my thought was that, I mean, like what you said too, Bubbles. Like, you don't see them on the same field, and now with like the whole WoW progress ranking thing, like I noticed that like, they bought all this stuff before it even came out. But that seems like it should not be something the community has to like. Oh well, wait, that should be a Blizzard thing. Do you agree, Bubbles? What do you think?
Yeah. So first of all, let's say Star Wars did pay to win. I will say that out there again as well. Sorry, but yeah. The question was about how was it for Oceanic guilds rating, or was it for top guilds?
For top guilds rating in general,
Yeah.
like you all want to be on the same field now because the Mythic ladder is a unified ladder, right? But that seems they really want Blizzard as a company now really wants everyone on the same playing field in the world for their content, but they still have game versions that are different. So then, do you guys just ignore the Chinese part of the world if you could still buy stuff from before the game is available to you, or like is there like a soft agreement that you guys all have to have within your community of the top end raiders to not include them, which seems kind of rude and awful, but you kind of have to, right?
Yeah, well, personally, I ignore them completely until it's fixed by either Blizzard or the company that is in control there. I just ignore them, and I've seen even the guild below them, Exorcers. They list in their WoW progress page. It's pretty funny. They're like World 4th, but they list World 3rd, and they say donate excluded. That's what they call them, donate.
Yes.
Pretty funny. So yeah, I think most top guilds don't count that, because we noticed ages ago, even in Duromir progression, we looked at eye levels, because back then we weren't as hardcore and we didn't do split runs. So we looked at eye levels and noticed every other guild around us that killed Duromir had a few eye levels higher than us. Then we had 1 week of clear and did it again the next week, and it was so much easier. We didn't change any strat. Everyone had the same experience, and we just destroyed the fight. It was completely because of gear. So just any few decimal points of eye level makes a difference, and it shouldn't be allowed for one guild to do something that other guilds can't.
Yeah.
I didn't mean for us to get stuck on this topic so long. I'm sorry, Big Hood.
No, you're fine. I mean, we have plenty of time to do the big after the break topic. We're trying to get through this stuff faster, but I mean, this is probably the in a certain way, this harkens back to the argument we had back in Wrath of the Lich King with server transferring for server first stuff. This is before the Icecrown realm came out, the whole Icecrown race, because it was different then because they changed the rating paradigm. But it was when guilds would server transfer to get server firsts and steal rankings from other guilds. Like, that was the last bit of big controversy I could even think of that now is relative now to the BMAH thing.
Right.
So I just don't I really don't understand why they let you buy gear that doesn't exist in the game yet. Like after Mythic High Mall opens, Mythic High Mall gear can appear on the BMAH. That makes sense to me.
Well, I mean, this just springing to mind, and it's not apples to apples, but I mean, you can't access Mythic gear from your garrison missions until you kill it X amount of times. I mean, it's the same principle.
15
Right.
heroic bosses need to be dead before
Right,
you can
exactly.
unlock a Mythic. And that, of course, when it happens, which
Right.
could happen who knows when. Before your
Exactly,
reset,
yeah.
after you already killed bosses. Yeah.
Yep. And you know, a gentleman, Hunting Bear from chat, brought up a good point. Do you mind if I bring that up real quick, Bear?
Yeah, sure, no. Bear's
So
been
he
a
said
guest on the show before.
Yeah, he said one more point. The way the Style War did their black market auction house debacle, it's the fact that they're probably still doing it, and I haven't checked, and he hasn't checked, so I don't know if they are, but I'm not saying they are, but they may still be doing it, which means that going into BlackRock Foundry, they're in even better gear than they were when they killed Imperator, of course.
Yep.
Like, they're in as much BlackRock Foundry gear as possible. That's insane to me.
I think
that is absolutely insane.
I think you can only get 5 pieces from BMAH, as far as I know. It only ever spawns, like, what, belt, boots, bracers, cloak, ring? Or gloves, not a ring?
Man.
You can only get certain pieces, but still, if all 20 of the raiders have 5 pieces...
Absolutely.
On beta, it had tier draw on the BMA.
Oh my goodness!
I hope that doesn't happen. But, yeah.
Well, yeah, because that might be a saving grace because the tier gear isn't patched in yet.
Yeah, so it's possible that it does happen though.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
I mean, if the tier gear doesn't show up until BlackRock Foundry opens, that week, you only have 7 days of possible resets for it.
Yeah.
But again, if they're camping every server in the Chinese realm, which is probably like 20 plus. Oh man, if they have 4-piece bonuses before, see, now it even gets more sticky icky.
I want to say one more quick thing. Lady or gentleman Deezum in chat says, and I quote, "Don't know why people are blaming Style Wars instead of Blizzard lol." And I'm not. Listen, I quoted this person. All right,
I know it's quoted. It's quoted.
Don't know why people are blaming Style War instead of Blizzard. And I'm by no means blaming Style War, even though it does kind of sound like I am. This is not Style War's fault because, as these gentlemen have already said, if they had access to it, they would do it.
Of course.
If I could do it from my guild, I would do it.
Right.
I mean, come on. You want any competitive advantage that you possibly can get your hands on for, a world race. And heck, I'm not even a world-class guild, but I would still do it. The point is, I'm not blaming Style War. This is, in my opinion, Blizzard's fault, and they need to fix it. Yeah. But it just sucks that, this one particular guild got to take they took advantage of it on such a deep, crazy level, and no one else really could.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because if the game version that they're playing is different for Chinese World of Warcraft, that they have a really cheap server transfer, it's the same 3-day lockout period to go back, but you can purchase in-game gold because they pay by the hour to play World of Warcraft, not by the month. It's fine. But the fact is, it comes back down to Blizzard's initial back end of the game that this gear shows up before it's available for PvE means. That's the antithesis of the issue, as it were. So hopefully we'll see this. I mean, I said this before. Do you guys still think that like Tier 17 is like a test bed for the new Mythic system, and we'll see a better race for Tier 18? Bear, like, are you hoping that it happens? Like when Tier 17 finishes, Tier 18 gears and appear on the BMAH.
I don't think it'll appear that quick. I hope not anyway. But I get the feeling, every tier they do try and work on something. I know, as obviously it's different, but as a guild you try and fix something that you did wrong the tier before. So I assume they're doing the same thing. They feel like something didn't work out, they're going to try fix it. Now, sometimes the gap between them realizing they have a problem and them fixing it is a bit longer than you'd like. I think they eventually do get around to problems, and I don't really like, they brought it all back to one difficulty, this expansion, and that for me is just a giant leap forward. Like that's huge. Absolutely. And so they can keep going from there for me. So I'm quite happy where it is at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, to interject, I absolutely agree with Bear. I mean, we are seeing, at the very least, the foundation, the groundwork for some of the best rating that we've seen in a long time, if ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I do agree with you to to a major point, to a minor point, whatever, that Tier 17, it probably is a little bit of an experiment, if you will. They're testing how Mythic's working. You know, they're reducing the size from 25 to 20 or increasing it from 10 to 20, depending upon your perspective. And I think it's nothing but a good thing for the game. And I do agree with Bear that they're just going to improve from here. At least I hope they are.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, not to pinpoint people in chat, but I know there might be some that aren't talking or some that are that do work at Blizzard currently. So I'm sure that the feedback will be heard directly to them. I think it's a toxic thing for the game to be able to buy gear that doesn't exist in the game. That's the bottom line. That's literally the bottom line.
Absolutely.
And I resonate for probably many of the raiding community that if the World First Guild doesn't like it and the World Fifth Guild or World Fourth Guild doesn't like it, then
and World 771
and World 771 high five, right? High five. Yeah. Yeah. There's some problems there that hopefully they get fixed. So yeah. Anything else on the Mythic race that you guys want to talk about before I get into a little breaky poo, before we get into some really pinpointed on your guild stuff? Bubbles, Bear, anything that comes to mind?
I'd like to mention how upset I am finding out that a priest that hasn't killed even heroic Imperator has got a mythic warforged gemmed runestone trinket from Imperator from a mission.
No way.
That upsets me. It hurts me. It really does.
Oh man. Oh boy.
But I'm good. I got no complaints. I'll complain on Bubbles' behalf though.
Right? Yeah.
Thank you.
You complain with him. He is your officer in arms. There you go. Yeah.
But actually, there's also another thing that really annoys me is I complain a lot, but who knows why? It's the gap between raids. So the gap between the release of Warlords of Draenor and the gap between Highmaul, and the gap between Highmaul and Blackrock Foundry. So they gave us. It's the first time they've given us like a 2.5 weeks to get ready for Highmaul, and they thought that they were doing a good thing. But for top end raiders, I say they didn't, because first of all, it gives you time to level alts, and if you want to compete at the top, you gotta abuse what they give you. And every top guild leveled multiple alts on every character, on every player. Yep. And did as many split clears as they could, normal mode and heroic mode, to funnel gear into their means. That made content. That's why people breathed through Highmaul. That's why people could clear it in 1 week. So it's stuff like that. It's kind of, for me, ruined a bit of the game. The game, like, I'm loving Warlords of Draenor, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of something that's a setback. And now with the gap between Highmaul and Blackrock Foundry, we've got even longer than we had with MSV and Hoth, which we had like no time at all. Like we killed Will of the Emperor, and then straight away Hoth was out. So now we've got, at least, they haven't announced the date yet, but it's around 8 weeks.
8 to 10.
So now, yeah. And so now guilds are doing the same thing. They're leveling more tunes and doing even more split clears. And
you'll do split clears. You'll do split mythic clears now.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Some guilds have already done a full 2 split clears of mythic, which is insane.
You're getting slightly ahead of me because we're gonna talk about this after the break. But yes, that. And that's not necessarily a huge point that I think a lot of people will understand, but why we're going to bring it up is because to help this information that not everyone understands that break is good and bad for the game. Yeah, I would hope more good than bad, but there's a lot of back and forth on that. So, yeah,
it's just the eye level. That's all. Like it just comes down to the eye level that ruin, like kind of sets back. I won't say ruin. I don't want to use that word, but it just sets back the race to world first.
A little bit, it does. Yeah, I don't know. Alrighty, well, I'll take a couple minutes of your time, everybody, to tell you a little bit of some stuff behind the scenes here, some communities you may or may not know about, and then to possibly show us some of our Aussie viewers on the other side of the planet. Hello over there! Something you may not have seen about before. But first up, of course, I'm going to tell you guys about MMO Champion, which you should or should not know about already. MMO Champion been doing a whole lot of these analytic points right now with like player achievement point curves, and then by region. And then they have some cool add-ons they've shown. I actually downloaded Currency Sorter so I can put my Warlords of Draenor stuff at the top on my currency tab. So helpful! But then other things like that too are on MMO Champion. We got some cosplay stuff. We got news posts and things, more analytics by. This is a cool little post I thought about the profession stats now, because professions are sort of way different in Warlords. It's kind of a cool little thing to look at. And then of course I had the Warlords of Draenor cinematic reveal video that went up a couple days ago. But MMO-champion.com is your best place to go for just blue posts and updates. If you have not heard about Armies of Azeroth yet, and you love Warcraft and Warcraft 3, click this trailer. Go click it and support these guys. They're remaking an HD remake in the StarCraft 2 engine of Warcraft 3. It's beautiful. Go check it out. And go check out and go just bookmark MMO Champion. That's the best way to do it. Go do that. And then if you want some more Druid info, you can go head over to fluiddruid.net. This is a Druid community for Druids run by Druids. You got the patch 6.0 info right here. They got the general Druid info with Druid talents and glyphs. They got a feral guide, which I'm sure will continuously being updated. So go head over there to the Fluid Druid. There's some awesome folks up here posting things. If you are a kitty cat, bear, thunder chicken, or broccoli man that does want a place to go, and they got forums and things, go call home. Go find a little community for yourself. And if you've never seen previous episodes of Final Boss, or you've missed one, our YouTube page is right down below. All of our episodes are right here. And it's actually kind of funny. Sparkugs and Sheena Fey finally got dethroned. They were the highest watched video. But now it's Deva Alzu and Iliayo right there up top for the Paragon interview. Super fun. But all of our episodes are right there. All 64 past episodes are on our YouTube page if you've missed any. This episode, of course, will be up on YouTube tomorrow-ish by like 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, hello. But then, one last little bit of time, probably the last time I might plug it for quite a while until we have some work in progress footage. Nobble the Noble, Silver Latomi, and I are putting together a humongous side project. If you want to be a part of it, details after this.
Have you ever wanted to rewrite history? To go back, fix mistakes, do it better? What if it were possible to shape and mold time as you would a ball of clay? What possibilities await? What new worlds could we create?
So, War Crimes, the latest novel to join the World of Warcraft community there by Christy Golden. Novel, Silver Latomi and I are converting into a 10-part machinima episodic that should be out mid to fall 2016. So much work to do, but if you are a 2D artist, a 3D modeler or animator, or an aspiring voice actor, then you can send an email to finalbosswow@gmail.com if you want to be a part of the project. It's a huge community effort to put this together. It's not just the three of us, obviously, but lots of people. WoW Krendor and Jesse Cox will be involved. Duck Sauce, I'm going after some awesome voices as well. Trying to get a sort of like half partnership with Blizzard to make this sort of a real thing so I can get Chris Metzen or Patrick Seitz to do voices for their characters. Lots of stuff to do, but if you want to be a part of it, send me an email. But enough about me and stuff and awesome communities. Let's jump back over here to Ascension Talk. So, Ryan, you want to bring us in to the Sudden Splash and Heimal Bash, as it were, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. So, how dare you? Now, I want to direct this to Bubbles first, the Shadow Priest Extraordinaire of Ascension. Mr. Bubbles, I'm curious, what exactly do you feel has led Ascension to its sudden burst of success? What has brought you from, that Darumu experience you spoke of to where you weren't doing split runs, you guys were doing okay, you were pretty good, but now here you are, world 5th. What, aside from, getting your own server cluster, but what else have you guys done? What's been going on behind the scenes?
All right. Well, obviously, I won't talk about the servers, but that's one of the main components as to why we did so well.
Absolutely.
But the other things were our recruits. We recruited players with the same vision as us and the same dedication. So what I mean by that is they wanted to raid as much as they could, and with still getting sleep. Obviously, we wanted to get sleep as well. We don't want to just raid
right.
20 hours, blah blah. But it's the stuff before and the preparation that had the most effect on why we did so well compared to every other tier.
So I mean, go ahead.
Yeah. So for beta testing, for us to test bosses, the timing for me in Victoria is 3:30 a.m., 6:30 a.m., or 9:30 a.m. Wow. So we had to make all those times, and we actually, I don't know how, but for the first time, we made all those times.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
So, yeah, that's I reckon the beta is the most important part of progression, because you acquire so much knowledge, and you can study. It's like studying for a test. You can study what you learned in the beta.
Now here's a question. I did a ton of beta testing, more beta testing than I've ever done. I didn't include all of Static. It's not a requirement for us. And by the way, I almost called you Bill for some reason. Bay, Billy Bay, right. Bay Billy. I got word from chat that I was actually completely off. We're actually 418 and 419 respectively.
I saw that.
Static.
Yeah,
a lot better than I thought.
Moving up in the world.
But anyway, the point is, I did some testing. It was a lot of fun, and I definitely see some changes from the beta fights to the live fights. But for you guys, you probably have a much better idea and a much bigger picture, so to speak. How many changes did you feel or see that were implemented between beta and live? And then did any of those changes throw you off? Like, in other words, did you walk into a fight expecting A, but you got B instead, or G or Q or something like that? I hope that made sense. I kind of talked a little too long.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point.
I'm trying to think of the fight. I think it's Tectus, the one I'm thinking of. There's a few changes. Tectus was a bit different, but it actually wasn't that much, I don't think. Daniel, can you think of it? Or Bubbles, can you think of anything like change massively between beta and live?
No, not really. Not from what we experienced. We just because most of the bosses we had a strat set out already, and we used it and it worked. So without having to change the strat, we didn't notice any major differences.
Yeah, okay. It actually was pretty. We thought that certain bosses were going to get changed. I know for one thing, when we saw Butcher's health that first time, and they told us on the beta that it was way too high and it was going to get nerfed, and we got there and it was the exact same health that we saw on the beta, we weren't too happy. But
that's awesome.
That was the only thing that we thought might change, and nothing did. So they obviously thought that they had a good, the good balance going with the bosses. They were in the right place, Blizzard did. So they didn't change much at all. Tectus, the only thing that's what I was to say is the ground effects looked better. They fixed up like some of the stuff so it was brighter and easier to see. That was about the only difference.
Except that damn sand pile, though.
Oh my goodness, that's so annoying.
Ian, please.
That is so annoying.
I mean, it's RP and fun, but it's kind of yeah.
Get rid of it.
Yeah, I know.
The Ranger begging for you to fix the camera in that room. Please.
Yes.
Well,
I bet.
Don't get me started.
See, now, I brought that up when we were progressing on Tectus before we killed it, that was, in sort of a snarky way, that is the ranged version of Fracture. Because the melee are constantly dodging Fracture, so now the ranged has to constantly move their camera to make sure they can see the fight.
That's awesome.
That's what I thought
anyone say that before.
It's not, but it's, yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's what I thought it was. No, it's terrible, though. Why did they make the giant rock sculptures? Well, not like they could have circled the room in little ones and just been the same exact effect, but not ruin the camera. So you're rating the boss and rating your camera angle at the same time. Why do they do this? I
remember reading the feedback thread, and I'm pretty sure all I read was fix cameras. Cameras are stuffed. Fix the cameras. And I was hoping, I'm like, they can't let this. This is ridiculous. I'm a Shadow Priest. I'm multi-dot. I need to dot these ads. I can't with this camera. I can't see anything.
Were you in on your guild's first Tectus kill?
Yes. I shouldn't have been.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How much damage did you do? Let's be honest. How much damage did you actually do? Were you the lowest damage dealer?
Probably me over here on the feral druid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, we like held hands and
Yeah.
Right.
Cried in each other's arms.
Right.
both we turned the Scudder upside down.
Oh!
Yes.
Yeah.
There it is.
So you don't feel
There
so
it is.
bad.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, because I was talking with Bear
fantastic.
about this too, and you gave credit to Stenhaldi, who like premiered the kitty cats can just go bear and spam thrash on Tectus and do tons of damage.
Yeah, it was
that what you
very
wound up
clever
doing,
of
Bear?
him. I haven't done it yet because I need to go get a Guardian spec, and I was sitting there with my Resto one or something still. But yeah, I'm gonna try it out next week. But apparently it's not too hard. You just press this button called Thrash or something, and then so that's about it. So it's not too bad. But yeah, I'll try it out next week.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think what we'll see, I think Heimal, I think I coined this from your stream, Ryan, that you're talking about how Heimal it's a good start. There are some interesting fights. There are some fun moments. Like I think our first heroic Brackenspore kill, in my opinion, was like, whoa, that was a lot of fun. Because your damage was awful at the time, and we went from Dungeon Blues to heroic rating. So that was like, oh, it died. You know, it was crazy good. But I think we'll see a lot of different points from beta Blackrock to live Blackrock.
I mean, and you did a lot of testing on beta too, if I'm not mistaken, right, Bear?
Oh yeah.
I mean, the fights, like there are so many fights in Blackrock Foundry that I'm looking forward to. I mean, Gruul, I think is going to be a really fun fight to start out, and not just in terms of nostalgia, but just getting in there and just killing that bad boy again. Like I can't wait. Not overly complicated, but a good start. But I know for me, I beta tested his arms back when arms was godly, and the AOE fights in that instance are going to be nuts. And you, of course, as an enhancement shaman, are probably in love with that idea.
I'm doing the little bit symbol. You can't see it, but I'm doing the little bit symbol.
just a bit. So there are a lot of fun fights, I think, that are really going to test and push guilds in a very positive way. But
Iron Maidens.
I don't want to talk about that fight. That is not a fight I'm looking forward to at all.
I brought that up in the show notes, and both Bear and Bubbles were like, "Let's not talk about that either." Are we might see that same thing, like to what Bear said about Butcher's health. Are you gonna jump on the boat the first time on Iron Maidens and see that the Bleeding Hollow Ogre is the exact same HP, which requires like 47.6k DPS from 3 people over the course of 1 minute, which is impossible. Have fun with that.
Save your CDs.
Save your CDs, indeed.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there'll be a few of those things where you go in and you'll just be seeing the health of stuff and then immediately crying or being happy, one of the two. So.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, that brings me to kind of go into how important Heimal is in the grand scheme of things. So you have locked in 4 Mythic World first still, right? As they are ranked based on the time that servers have come up. You still have locked in 4, correct?
Yep.
So
yeah, I believe so.
In the grand scheme of this race right now, though, what do you actually gain? Obviously, the posterity and the being in the public eye a little bit more. What do you actually really gain from clearing Heimal as fast as you have? Bubbles, what do you get for that?
Well, first of all, for us as a guild, it helped a lot because our aim was not US first. Like, I'm just gonna put that out there. We did not expect to do this well.
Wink,
and
wink.
But yeah, so getting this rank has given us, motivation to achieve the same rank for Blackrock Foundry. We didn't know we were capable of this, and now we know. So we're going to be more prepared for it come Blackrock Foundry. And clearing it as fast as possible is also important because it gives you more gear and it gives you time to prepare doing your amazing and really fun split clears for Blackrock Foundry.
Do I sense a little bit of dread for those split clears? Possibly?
A little bit. I
bit?
despise ults. I despise ults.
Oh, I
hate
get you.
I'm just a Shadow Priest. That's all I am.
Yeah. Well, have a Shadow Priest ult then. That's like just have 2 of the same.
I do. I actually do. His name's Cheese.
Yep. We have 2 warlocks that their ult is a warlock. So like, yeah, not a big change. I play a Ret Paladin, which I call Baby Hance. That's easier than Enhancement Shaman. So yeah. And Bear, anything to add to what do you gain from clearing Mythic Heimal so fast?
To me, the difference between us and Midwinter and Blood Legion is nothing. We all got the same amount. We all killed the boss in the same week because the thing. Gear-wise. And that's the only thing that's going to help you come Blackrock Foundry. That's what I mean when I say that. Like, the actual rank, like Bubble said, it was just about, I don't know, it makes you believe that you can do this well. And that helps in itself. Like, that's a big part of it for the guild. Like, it just helps you motivate the raid. It helps you motivate yourself. So that's the big thing.
Yeah, I think the biggest... Oh, go ahead, Bubbles. What's up?
Also, well, let's assume that even though Paragon didn't kill Imperator first, let's assume Imperator is actually the last boss.
You're right, not Butcher.
Yeah. This is the first time for Ascension to kill a boss. Well, at least like 95% of a boss without a video being released. So
right.
If we hadn't experienced this and doing it by ourselves, it would have made Blackhand way harder because before Highmaul, we actually we relied on videos basically to kill the boss. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's really helped us personally as a guild. Maybe not other guilds that have done kills of final bosses without aid of another video.
Right.
But for us, it helped a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I'll speak candidly. Like
sure.
For the lack of a better phrase, we kind of rely on those videos. Yeah, sure, we could scour through the logs. We could look at dungeon journals. We could get in there and beat our heads against that boss or that wall that is a boss. We could do all that, sure, but we wouldn't kill the bosses as quickly as we would without the videos. I mean, that's just the truth. So, I mean, my hats are off to you guys for stepping up and really just doing something that's really, really difficult to do for any guild out there. I mean, the fact that, there's a handful of guilds out there that legitimately do everything on their own. That's impressive and incredible and unbelievable to me.
It's a very different world. Like, I made Deva walk us through their reactions the first time they killed Margok, and then Cho'Gall pops out like, "What's up, guys? How you doing?" And they're like, "What the hell is this?" No one else in the world knew that at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it gets spoiled immediately once the kill videos come out, once the people know, like, Cho'Gall's in the Imperial Margok fight. Well, we've got a plan for it. Like, Ryan and I, we know going into it now.
Right, exactly.
Did you guys know, Ascension, did you guys know that existed when you guys were there either? I think at that point there was still no video.
Yeah, we had a lot of speculation. Like, we saw those leaked screenshots. And I was like, nah, that's Photoshop. Look at that. Look at the text. It's Photoshopped. And people were like, yeah, it's Phase 4. This is the intermission. And like, yeah, there was just heaps of speculation. But then eventually we got to Phase 4. We got to Phase 3. We were like, maybe this is a little bit too easy. So, yeah, as we got later onto the fight without actually hitting Phase 4, we realized, yeah, there will be a Phase 4. So, yeah.
Yeah, you kind of felt it was coming, so you could plan a little bit. Mm.
Yeah. But if those screenshots weren't leaked, then we wouldn't have known, and it would have been a huge surprise.
This is the first time Blizzard, well, for Warcraft in a while has, because like we knew Raw Den was coming, right? Like we knew Ragnaros would grow legs, right? Mm-hmm. Like we knew we would ride on Deathwing's back and then fight him in a weird, like, multi-phase.
Worst fight ever.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Like we knew that was coming, but I think this is the first time we actually had like a surprise moment. And we also knew that we would go back to this weird Stormwind phase because of data mined issues with the Garrosh Hellscream fight. But no one knew about Cho'Gall. I don't think anyone knew. So pretty awesome on their part, honestly. So
yeah, it was well kept secret. It shows us. I don't know whether they spoke to MMO or whatever, or like they did really well to keep it a secret.
Right. Yeah, I don't think anyone really knew. I think the back thing, too, I was going to bring this back to Ryan. It's in our respective, too, into the top guilds. And we both agreed on this pack, too. Like, I would rather raid the hours you guys do in the week or two to get everything dead. Because a lot of the community won't recognize this and won't understand. I think, like, the top guilds, like, they put in all this stuff. And the next topic is how many hours you put in. So don't jump the gun on this one, how many hours you did put in. But for myself and Crisp and for Brutal and Static, we'll actually raid more hours over a longer period of time than you will at the top end of the world, because you put all of it to get it done, and then you basically farm it for weeks. Whereas, like, Ryan and I are still working on getting our 5 of 7 to go to 6 of 7, and then start working on Margok.
Yep.
Whereas it's a different thing in the community. People think that you guys put in more than anyone else, and that's completely incorrect.
Yep. I mean, there's absolutely a lot of prep that goes into it. Like
Oh,
they've
of
already said, like
course.
we know. But I would much rather do that. You're absolutely right. Like, let me kill that boss in the first week or two, and then not to say it's smooth sailing from there, because then you do have the split runs and you got to
Right.
gear the alts and level the alts and so on and so forth. But it just takes a huge load off your shoulders. I mean, I assume it does. You guys can respond better than I can, obviously.
Right.
It's not at the moment because of there's another tier right on
Absolutely,
I'm
you're
all-
absolutely right. Yep,
Right.
that's true.
thing. But
That's true.
when Todd ended, we finished that off, and we had SOO coming. Like that was just it was great. We raided twice a week, I think, and then 4 hours each raid night, and that was it. And that was for for however long until SOO
Right.
came out. And then when SOO came out, it was even better because you didn't have another tier ahead of it that you needed to get loot for. So once that was over, it was one night a week. Like by the end of it, it was like 2 hour clear, 3 hour clear or something, and you were done. So
Yep.
yeah, it's good in that regard. But when there's this first tier, this is the hardest one because
absolutely.
when they do these split tiers, it's always tough.
Absolutely.
It's tough on you guys. I personally love the break.
Yeah.
I think it phases a lot of the game, and I think that the 4-week break between Mogushan into Heart and then Heart into Terrace was too short, which is what Watcher said. That's why we're getting this 8 to 10 week break period between, and we're also extending the content healthily so that we don't have another 12 months of Siege of Orgrimmar happening.
Truth.
So it's a good way in that way. But for the top end raiding guilds, you guys have all this more stress to make your alts ready, to if you're going to stack stuff for the raid coming out, to prepare for the real race.
Let's
So-
just say that we understand why they have to do it. Like,
Right.
you end up accepting it as a reality of your situation more than anything.
Right.
If you could change it, you would, but it's probably not going to. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, how about let's bring us up to the next topic there, Ryan. If you
Oh, geez. Here we go. I see
Yeah.
the highlight. For those who don't know, I've got a monitor off to the side, and Bay's highlighting the things I'm supposed
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
That's the.
I'm
that's
trying
the
to help
beauty of,
you, Mr. Co-guest
That's
host.
the beauty of being told 2 hours before the show goes live. Hey, you want to be on the show today?
Well, hey,
I guess so.
Kellerick
I didn't
is
even
fighting...
shave my head for this show. I have granules of hair. Look at this.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
Look at anyway. The point is, yes, I can lead us in absolutely. So in terms of raid hours, did you guys tackle? Did you all tackle that many raid hours during the Mythic launch week? I mean, spread out so far across the world. Did you all invest the same amount of time? Am I asking this question correctly, Bay?
Yeah. Just
Okay,
how
just
many
making sure.
hours did you guys put in for the first Mythic week?
Like
daily?
obviously as officers, and then Bear, I believe you said you do strats. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you, I can only assume, much like
Right.
myself and my co-raid leader, like we invest a little bit more time than everyone else.
Mhm.
Like, how much time did you have to invest, especially coming up with your own strategies versus the rest of the guild versus the rest of the
So
world?
what will happen with how the strat work is have an officer meeting. Everyone decides on the strat we want, and then I go from that point. They give me all the information, and then I write out the guide, and then I just iron it out, make it look good, and all this sort of stuff. So, but coming up to the expansion, there was like 3-week period where that's all I was doing was all. But I got a little bit. I got a little bit too keen and did more than I needed to. So that was a part of the problem. But
In what
yeah,
way?
so-
can I ask.
Editing, Photoshop, videos, all this sort of stuff I was doing, and it was, and I went overboard on describing fights. Like I went,
Like
yeah,
information overload guild, basically.
yeah. But
Yeah, okay.
I need an editor. I need an editor to say, cut that bit out.
Cut that. I
bit
get
out.
that.
But-
Out of there. Yeah.
yeah, but I don't have one, so it's just me rambling on a bit. But for the most part, it was like that was what I was doing prior to the expansion. But for raid hours during the actual weeks, it was, I think the first week for us, I had a look at logs earlier today. It was between 12 and 15, somewhere in that range for the first week each day. And then, we raided the Wednesday and the Thursday, I think, to kill it. So, yeah, however many hours that is across 9 days, it was about 15 hours a day. You'd probably give or take a few, because I remember one day I only rated about 8, but that's around about where it was. And I think that's what like Paragon and Method be doing. They might be doing a bit more. I'm not sure though.
Right.
Yeah, we had Paragon to the first couple of days, like the day or two to get the initial boss hump out of the way. It was closer to 18 with like a break in the middle there for like food stuff like that. Like a 2 to 3 hour break in the middle there. But overall, yeah. But you guys don't do like the 18 to 20 hours in one sitting. There are breaks and stuff. But yeah, then it kind of dies down to like the more like half a day raid.
There was a famous raid that we had in we're doing in Hoth when we're doing Imperator, sorry, Vizier, and our raid leader just became raid leader, and he got too ahead of himself, and we went 12 hours with a break. But
Wow.
that changed a bit since then. So we've all shouted at him and beat it out of him. So now it's down to like we have proper raid breaks, like we're working and stuff. So every I don't know 3 hours or something, 15 minutes, and then a big lunch break, big dinner break. More stuff like that. So yeah, they'd be up to like around 2 to 3 hours break time total during the day, I'd say.
Well, and now to bring this back again too, to put this in perspective, so it's not like everyone on the US or the EU side of this thing gets a different way on how servers work. Bubbles, when is raid start time for you guys? Because you might think like 15 or 18 hour raid days. Yeah, sure, whatever starts at 5 in the afternoon when servers come up. Bubbles, when does you actually start raiding again? When does the raid start?
Yeah. So it's again harder for us. This is the first time they've had a server restart prior to the Mythic being launched, rather than having a shutdown. So the shutdown for us usually opens the servers up at 6 a.m. But with the restart, they opened at 3 a.m.
Oh my goodness.
We thought
I gotta show Ryan
because it was
right.
we thought that Mythic Raid would be open when the servers go up, because that's when they were being launched. So 3 a.m. We all woke up at 3 a.m. because we didn't want to fall behind, and we wanted to raid. So we all got up. I couldn't even sleep because my sleeping schedule. So I laid in bed right there, and yeah, I just laid there. Got to 3 a.m. I woke up and came on, but we couldn't enter the Mythic instance.
Oh.
So we saw all these other guilds. We started noticing. Yeah, it was terrible. But we noticed other guilds that were in Highmall. They were doing heroic clears. So we panicked, we stressed, and decided we're wasting our time. And we did a heroic clear, which actually that really, like, I know a lot of guilds are talking about the drama they had and all the issues or the not caring, but we had our own issues. That was one of them. We woke up early, lost 2 or 3 hours because of that, which could have been sleep, which would have helped a lot with concentration and reading even more afterwards. And then apart from that, we also rushed into a heroic clear with no organization. So we just stacked people that needed gear together and wasted.
Okay.
We didn't do enough heroic clears. So on the Mythic week, we lost eye level because we were the most geared in the world, I believe. I'm not sure about Paragon because they were hiding the eye level. But apart from Paragon, we were more geared than anyone else.
Man.
Apart from Paragon and Exorcist, because they did like 9 split runs, which is crazy.
Yeah, they did. I heard about that.
So,
9 heroics.
That's insane. That is absolutely insane.
What does that even math out to? Like 3 main raiders a run? 3 or 4? 4? 3? 3-ish. 3.5. Yeah.
No, that'd be like 2.
Almost 2? Almost
2.1 or something like that.
Oh,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Gross. Yeah. So that's the thing I wanted to bring up in chat room to that you guys start raiding at like when Blackrock Foundry Mythic unlocks, you'll be there at like 2-ish a.m. if you're looking at your time frame, because that's when I get home from work and the raid opens up. Usually maintenance takes until like 5 or 6 o'clock p.m. Then we'll start raiding when the servers come up. But again, you guys are in the future. But you raid on the US unlock time, which is PST based on where Blizzard is. Which I still wonder if with your own server cluster now, the thing is they don't have an office in Australia to run the oceanic side of the game, because EU has their own unlock and so does US, but you're on the US unlock time. So again, I argue the fact that is incredibly unfortunate for you to have to raid at 2 or 3 in the morning. Ugh.
No, I'd quit.
I quit.
Sometimes you think like that. Trust me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not worth.
And more power and and accolades to you all for doing that in the first place, because that is some incredible commitment. Like holy crap.
Absolutely.
Woo.
We
are not worthy.
The beta raids helped. The beta raids
Yeah.
helped because we had to wake up at 3:30. Then I believe the 3:30 a.m. raid start would finish at 5, and we're so tired we go to bed, wake up at 6, get ready for the 6:30 raid, and then just rinse repeat. And it was hard, but it
Yeah,
got us ready
absolutely.
for it.
That brings a question to my mind. Like, as you guys, you're running on little to no sleep, and you're waking up at these ungodly hours. Like, how much do you feel or think that impacted your performance, your guild's performance? Do you think you could have been world fourth, as an example?
The first day was very interesting. I know the Korag, there was a period in the middle of the day where that's when people felt it the most. Like, I know personally for me, I nearly fell asleep at the keyboard at one point. And
Oh no.
yeah, we had a 30-minute break, and I had one of the best power naps of my entire life. Seriously, I had that 15-minute nap, and I came back, and I felt like I'd slept 8 hours. And so long story short, that I think it definitely impacted on Korag, and then people started getting their second wins going into Tectus, but there was no way in hell we were going to kill Tectus that night because it was just people were way too tired, and like they were just standing in stuff that they'd been dodging with ease all day. So that it definitely would have helped in that regard on that boss, I think.
Right.
So, I had a question. Now I forget. Never mind.
Okay. Well, I'll move us along then. People have been asking about some like class balance and stuff like that, and that sort of ties into like the overall raid structure for your 20-man, mostly in a DPS balance sense. Now, in the Paragon interview, they noted that like the patches, the hotfixes and changes to class balance that came on the Monday before the Tuesday that Mythic launched were probably like really awful because they had a certain gearing stratagem decided based on the DPS they could notice. Which, from my perspective, I thought it was healthy because there were some really, really bad DPS spreads. Which, there are still really bad DPS spreads currently. There's about a 20 to 24% difference between the best DPS class and the worst DPS class in the game right now, which is a huge problem. It should be closer to 10%, but right now it's more than double that.
Buff Prot Warriors.
Right, please. And nerf Prot Paladins.
I mean, nerf's a very heavy word. We probably shouldn't throw that around quite as often as we do.
32k DPS for a tank class is totally okay.
It's permissible. It's permissible.
What are your thoughts on Shadow Priest DPS going into Heimel? And we'll kick it over to Bear for Kitty Cat DPS. What do you think? Bubbles?
So, just for Shadow Priest, I think it was really good. Apart from obviously the AoE, like we've never had that high single target. So, I was really without gear because. Without Mindseer being so bad, gear, we don't scale it that well compared to other classes now. But going into progression where people aren't as geared, it was really good because our execute's good. We have good burst and multi-dot, and we have a lot of defensives, I believe, even though a lot of people complain about it. I really like Reflective Shield and Powered Shield, so I was really happy with the state of my class.
Yeah, felt better? Because
apart from the AoE, obviously.
Well, it's a flip flop. They've done this to some classes. In some ways, in my mind, how you get used to a certain class and a certain expansion, then it totally changes. Like Enhancement in Mist of Pandaria was really good burst and pretty damn good single target and like fmeh AoE. And now we're like fmeh a single target burst, and we're the best AoE in the game, arguably. Which I just don't know if they tune a knob incorrectly or the item remove the ability pruning hit certain classes differently. But Shadow Priest, yeah, your single target last expansion was bleh, but your AoE was awesome. And it's flip flop now. You have great single target, but bleh, AoE.
Yeah, completely reversed.
I
think because it was so strong in SOO, they wanted to nerf it, but I think they may have nerfed Mindseer a bit too much. But I remember in Siege of Orgrimmar, I had a keybind to target Bearwit Stick and /cast Mindseer, and all I do is just spam that button, and my DPS would just.
I was on my warrior and blade storming, so I knew I was right in the middle of the ads.
Right. So you know, it's almost like a high five turn off. AoE me now, bro. We got there. Okay. So then, and then how about feral cat druids?
We're very similar to Shadow Priests. Like good single target, good multi-dot, if you want to call it that, cleave. It is multi-dot though, and pretty terrible AoE. But I was quite happy with the Feral Druid. Like, you can never say no. It's never bad to have good single target, in my opinion, because, you know, on Margok, for example, I'm pretty much dead set bottom of the meter, but you look at the boss DPS, I'm in the top 2, something like that,
Right.
and you need to kill the boss in the end, so it's good
Absolutely.
to have you there. So,
Absolutely.
and in the final phase, you want to kill it before a certain point. Everyone else is sitting there, they're loving those ads, they're just padding away, and I'm sitting there on the boss. I'm like, nah, stuff those ads. I don't want to touch them. So, that in that regard, it's pretty good. I would saying that I came from a warrior from last expansion, and
Right.
you know, you have it all. You had AoE, you had single target.
Why would you not be a warrior?
Crazy.
Let's just say I wasn't happy with the loss of Colossus Smash and Heroic Strike. So, then, you know, I missed the AoE a little bit, like just bursting down ads.
Right.
That's what I missed a little bit. But I don't think Feral fits that too much. Like, it's just not part of their role. I would change.
Sure.
I would sacrifice a little bit of single target to get more AoE. But overall, I was quite happy with where Feral was for the tier, and I think a lot of other Feral Druids were as well.
Yeah, there is. I mean, and Chris Zerho said this on the show when we interviewed him and Jonas Acosta, so a couple weeks back now, that certain classes now seem to have a. Because healers have always had this, and I've broken down the healers into there are 3 types of healers. There are the solo target, AoE, and support healers. Whereas support healers, you can do both, but you're not great at either. AoE is really good at AoE, but not really good at single target, and single target is very good at single target, but can't really AoE heal. That's the whole point. They've had this triple pronged paradigm now. So now it looks like they're trying to get to that for melee DPS, or for DPS in general, where you have good single target, good cleave, and good AoE classes. But this is the first time trying it, I think, and it's a little bit askew. Just a little bit. Because,
Some classes can do it all, some can't.
yeah.
Give him time.
Give him time. Well, that's what I'm saying, again, with tier 17 being this testing bed for this new working for the DPS classes.
I mean, the holidays are over now. We've got X amount of weeks leading up to BRF. I mean, I think we're going to see some changes on the way pretty soon.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm interested because not only are we going to see changes, you know, related to the class and spec, but you also have to, at least this is the way my mind is working. Like, Blizzard also has to keep in mind that we're about to get 2 and 4 piece sets, and that's going to completely change things again. You know.
Yep.
So it's about to get real, basically, is what I'm saying. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So there's a lot. Oh, go ahead, Bubbles. Go ahead.
I'm not sure how Blizzard actually balancing classes. I'm not sure if they roll the dice or something, because it's just been so random. It really has. It's like RNG. They just roll a dice
It's
and
crazy.
oh look, we're gonna buff Fury now. I don't know. Fury's on the bottom. Gonna buff them. So now Warriors have to change their style of play, their gear, everything.
That sucked.
So yeah.
I mean,
hopefully they do a good job.
There's an interim in that pure DPS sort of mindset where like warlocks and mages and rogues and in some ways warriors now have to change their whole specialization for a fight, which I think is a fun playstyle because you shouldn't be considered an arms warrior. You should be considered a warrior,
right?
In my opinion. Whereas like the hybrids can't. Like as enhancement, I have to just change some talents or some glyphs, which I think that should be enough for them to do. Shadow Priest is similar in the same sense too, where talents and glyphs change you from fight to fight. So I'm okay with that. The problem is though is the huge problems within those classes. Like rogues right now have an issue. We all know about this. Rogues are out DPS'd by tanks right now. So there are some problems. I don't think they need to balance around hoping we get the 2 and 4 piece set bonuses because that can't change everything. Because arguably, mostly set bonuses are always just like a flat, like a 2 to 5% DPS overall as a class. So the same paradigm will still be an issue then as it is now. So we'll have to see. I don't know. There are some. We'll have to see.
Well, I'm sorry. What was that? Could you say?
But that brought it back to Bubbles' point about how important alts are right now. Is with the amount of time you have to gear up mythic alts, will we see class stacking in Blackrock Foundry?
I think we're going to see class stacking anywhere at any point in the game as long as it gets you a kill. I don't know if it'll be as heavily stacked as it has been in the past. And again, I'm not world 5th. Keep in mind, I'm world 1200th or so, but I don't think they'll ever be able to balance the game so perfectly that you wouldn't class stack for a specific fight or a specific mechanic or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
it's true.
it depends on the difficulty of the raid. We don't know how hard Blackrock Foundry is going to be. So I believe Blizzard,
Pretty easy for Star War. Oh!
Yeah, it would be. But I don't know if Blizzard. I feel like with beta they'd give us a certain eye level, so that's what they balance it off. The certain eye level. But because we do the split clears and we have all these other ways of getting gear, so we have missions, we have black market auction house. So we're going to be above the intended eye level. Usually, a top guild will be. So it might be easier than expected. Just like Heimel, I believe it was easier than expected.
Right.
And then there's no need to class stack because it's just face.
Right.
Really.
Exactly. Yeah, bring the player, not the class.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
So hopefully they make it harder.
Yeah.
Right. Hopefully it will, because there are certain outlying problems with certain specs of classes right now that are arguably breaking the DPS bench that Blizzard, I think, balanced around. And I don't know if that's because of these knee-jerk buffs and fixes that are doing right now for Heimel or not. I know there are certain classes that should have arguably just been toned down for Heimel because, I mean, you saw pre-nerf Windwalker monks destroying, almost being worth 2 DPS on every fight. And that was a problem. So there are still some issues I wonder if they'll get fixed before BRF, but I'm not sure because I think the top guild opinion is that if they change things before the raid comes out, that's probably bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Change things between raid tiers, yes, but not before a raid comes out. I don't know. We'll have to see.
We will see.
Yeah, the mage changes were surprising. Like, out of nowhere. Oh, Arcane. Look.
Yep.
But yeah.
Indeed.
Hopefully they give us more prior warning.
So we have 2 Q&As that came in. We'll grab 2 questions real quick here that came in before the show. And again, as a caveat, if you ever have questions for the show, we set up on Twitter and Facebook. But before each episode comes out, you can submit questions on the Ask a Boss link before shows. I use that to help build the show. So if you want to be part of episodes beforehand, do that. This question comes in from Heirlooms on Twitter. Which encounter did you like the most, and which encounter the least? We'll take this from both perspectives here with Kitty Cat and Shadow Priest. So Bear, with you first.
As a feral, my favorite fight is probably just Butcher because, you know, it's the best fight for a feral. Just single target, nothing to worry about really. Mm-hmm. Although he's punching my face in the entire time. But besides that, it's quite good. Least favorite boss? I'd have to say as a melee, it's actually not... Imperador is pretty tough. Constantly getting knocked back, constantly getting thing, but I still like the fight. So I wouldn't really say I have a least favorite. Tectus, that's the least favorite because the constant circling, dodging our tanks who like to spin the ad towards us sometimes. All that sort of stuff. The Crimson, like it's a nightmare in there. It's very, very scary. So that fight, as a melee, it's fun and it's scary, but it's my least favorite fight. Like, you know, comfortable wise for a druid. Right. I like the boss though. He's quite the funny guy. He's quite sad.
Right. I'll get in the chat real quick here. You can type this to get an interesting little bit of. Just have fun with that. Also, what's the website? It's called tectus.rocks. And before you crash it, if you go to tectus.rocks, it's a really good little website. You can check that out. So, how about for Shadow Priests, Bubbles?
So my favorite fight was Karag, and that was because we had just had the fight itself has a really cool concept with the Absorb Shield and the Soaking. So that was my favorite fight, but it was the fact that the concept and our strat just was perfect. We had like the perfect strat going into it.
So let's talk about the strat. I mean, it's not like I'm approaching this boss tomorrow or anything. What exactly?
Right.
So yeah, like Shadow Priest, I did a lot of DPS to the boss through the Absorb because of our single target, and I could get Twist of Fate uptime from the ads. So my class was really good for it. But my least favorite fight was definitely Tectus. First of all, the camera. Like, the camera itself would make it the worst fight ever.
Yeah, that camera, though.
Yeah, we, as a guild, were trying to do it legitimately. And by that, I mean, we weren't trying to do the Zerg strat that other guilds were doing. So we spent a lot of time trying to do it, legitimately thinking, no way would Blizzard let a kill be a Zerg on the first kill. That's ridiculous.
Right.
But that wasn't the case, and then we found out about it and killed it in about 5 attempts, I believe. So yeah. that really annoyed me. So that's what made it my most hated fight. And yeah, Shadow Priest also suck on it.
Well, now it's funny you bring that up. How the paradigm of Heimal works, and as I sort of break down fights, I have this like way I kind of like look at fights as single target, cleave and cross dot fights or AOE fights. And Heimal is a great example of how Blizzard can really hone in on a type of fight for a different fight entirely. So you have Kargath Bladefist, who has both single target and AoE in the same fight, but they're separated with the Sadium and the bottom round in the Gladiatorial Pit. You have 2 Zerg fights, which are both Zerg, like 4-minute encounters with Technus as an AoE Zerg and Butcher as a single target Zerg. Then you move on to the split fight. What?
You don't DPS tech the Butcher ads?
Right.
We've been DPSing the ads on Butcher. Is that not what you're supposed to do?
Please, Ryan, don't do this to me.
I'm kidding.
Right.
I'm kidding. Please continue.
Then you move on to Brackenspore and Twin Ogron, which is a cleave fight. Basically, just 2 different versions of a cleave fight. And then instead of being a split fight, you have a cleave fight and a split DPS fight in Korog, because you have a magic fight and a physical fight in the same fight. Right? And then you kind of push all that crap together into Margok. So it's fun how that works in one instance. So I'm going to see how they do that with 10 bosses in Blackrock after you get a lot more into them, because beta testing you can't really tell that path. But that's what I see when I look at Heimal. So Ryan, please. Alrighty. So the next question comes in from... I rewrote these questions. I would have you read them, Ryan, but I
was about to say, what am I doing? I'll just twiddle my thumbs.
I rewrote the question, I think.
I'll just sit here looking pretty.
Actually, you can read this one if you want. The third question? Go for the third question.
Highlight it real quick.
Comes in from Thorin Sage on Bleeding Hollow.
Oh, Thorin Sage from Bleeding Hallow, as it was written.
Yeah,
Hallow.
typo. Yeah.
On the US. This is in regards to Shadow Priests, or is that the class they are?
Shadow Priests, but
Shadow
we'll
Priests.
turn it back over to Feral as well.
Of course.
Of course.
So question is, what are some tips and tricks on helping to maximize DPS using things like dot weaving, stat priority, macros, talents? What exactly do you guys, because you both have your own different dots, and we'll take Bubbles' response first, but in terms of dot weaving, what are we looking at here?
So I thought about this question, and I thought around dot weaving what would get you a DPS increase. So talents-wise, the normal spec will be Insanity, Twist of Fate, Halo, Clarity of Power, obviously, because you're dot weaving. And
of course.
Yeah. If you're on 2 targets, if there's going to be constant 2 targets, you'll want to use FDC. Surge of Darkness over Insanity. Apart from that, everything else basically stays the same. So that's what you want. That's when you want to change your talents. Just when there's a more constant, multiple set of ads or targets. Apart from that, a really big DPS increase that a lot of some people still don't realize is Powered Shield when you glyph into Reflective Shield, and it helps reduce damage as well. So it's a DPS increase and it reduces damage. So tell your healers that you're caring about their mana. Say, oh, I'm doing this to help you guys, and they'll be happy with you. And then you get a DPS increase. So it's all good. Apart from that, as for stats, you want to go crit build for AoE, and it really helps you execute, which Shadow Priest execute is amazing. Like, actually amazing. Don't nerf it, please.
Duly noted.
Don't nerf it.
Duly noted.
Yeah. And Mastery for single target, which is why a lot of Shadow Priest going into Heimal were Mastery build, because there was so much emphasis on single target damage, even if there were more than one target. Sorry. And
now,
final.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh,
go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, good.
And you want to snipe Shadow of Death. You want to be like a sniper and just snipe Shadow of Death whenever you can. If you see an ad that's low, Shadow of Death it. Make sure. Tell everyone else to stop DPSing it so you can Shadow of Death it. Because that extra Shadow Orb is amazing.
Wow.
I don't actually do that on progression, but
now this is all dependent upon the fact that you're actually willing to bring a Shadow Priest to your raid. You're actually lowering yourself to the standard of a. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
We have a Shadow Priest. I like him. He's awesome. He's really good. He
Yeah.
may not be as good as Bubbles, but he's still pretty good. So,
Right.
RXCC, if you're listening, I love you.
Just finally, just to make sure I actually touch on the dot weaving because that was the
Yes.
essence of the question. So the dot weave rotation, it's changing constantly. You always have to keep up to date with what's going on. But at the moment, what I'm using personally is I Mind Spike to 4 Shadow Orbs, and then I Mind Spike twice. I Shadowed Pain, Mind Blast, VT, Vampiric Touch, Devouring Plague, Insanity, Mind Blast, Insanity, Devouring Plague, Mind Blast, Insanity twice, and then Mind Blast. I'll copy it
Could
in
you
the
repeat
chat.
that once
So-
more?
Yeah,
please?
this is gonna be
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure I caught that.
Can we get
Yeah,
can we
I'll
get
copy that in
a
the chat,
chart
but-
real quick? A Google graph maybe. Yeah.
If you remember that, that's what it is. Nah, I'll copy it in the chat. So.
Yeah, he'll give it to me in Skype, and it'll be in the YouTube description box. By the way, we'll have that for you guys. It's sort of, I don't know if any other class has this new play style that is developed based on a talent that is not supposed to make you do one thing but do another, but you still do both. I don't. I can't think of anyone that does this. I really don't know if any class does this in the game. There's different priorities based on fights that, like, I particularly partake in as Enhancement Shaman, like when to echo or when not to echo or stuff like that, or what to use it on, but the Clarity of Power talent, when I tested on beta, I tested every class at 90 and every class in spec at 100 on the beta. And when I saw Clarity of Power, I was like, all right, no more dots. Take them off my bars. Let's just spam Mind Spike and Mind Blast, and then use Insanity on your Mind Flay with DP up, right? I thought it was supposed to be, but apparently not, because of that rotation he posted in chat.
Yep. I think
Crazy.
someone just one day they were thinking, what if you actually save orbs and then put dots up, and then it just kept improving and improving, and then got this dot wave rotation.
I don't know if it was supposed to be intended like that.
I don't think it was.
But the
But keep
only
it the
way, the only way for them to fix it is to then buff COP to make you not want to use dots at all. Now, yes, you'll dot your ads if you're COPing, but you're not going to dot your primary target. The whole point of COP is to be a caster, not a dot wielder, basically. Yeah.
Yep.
Twin Top saying that the dot weaving rotation changes with this tier 17 set bonuses too. Okay.
Yeah, the 2-piece when you it reduces the cooldown on Mind Blast when you Devouring Plague.
So you probably won't be crazily dot weaving as much in tier 17 set bonuses then.
Yeah, it'll just be. I think the rotation becomes a little more simple.
All right. Well, we'll see when that comes around. So Bear, same questions then. Maximizing
okay,
the
mine
deeps as
would
a kitty
be-
cat.
It's not as in depth as Bubbles because I don't feel like it's as complicated anymore with the loss of snapshotting on trinkets and stuff. But they're still snapshotting on all of your Tiger's Fury. That snapshots your spells. So that's the main part that I'll say. And then the other stuff, use Predatory Swiftness on 4 combo points. This might seem basic, but I feel like at the moment it's a struggle to get to 5 combo points sometimes, and your Predatory Swiftness is going to run off, and then you're not going to get that extra damage if you're running. God, I can't remember Blood Talons. If you're running Blood Talons, so that's the one I was talking about. The other stuff, don't macro Berserk and Incarnation together. Lots of people love doing it because it's easy. I press one button, but you lose time on your Berserk, and it's just loss of DPS in the end. So don't do that. And the other thing, in regards to that, use Incarnation before you use Berserk, because that's how you're meant to do it. The other thing, make sure your Tiger's Fury always covers 2 finishes in your opener. So what that means is you want to use it when you've got 4 combo points or 5 combo points. That's when you want to use Tiger's Fury. If you use it at 1, you're probably not going to get through to your second finisher before it falls off. So make sure that you always use it then, and then you're going to have 2 finishes, both with Tiger's Fury up, and you're going to be doing more damage. And those are the 2, that's the major stuff I'd say for tips.
Okay.
Stat priority, single target, crit over multi-strike, and for AoE and multi-dotting, crit over mastery. for a general build at the moment, most druids are going crit over mastery over multi-strike, and that's around about where they're at the moment. It seems to work out the best, and that's what, as much as you can with the high more gear. Yeah, and that's about it. For talents, Incarnation and Blood Talons are pretty much the best so far. You could make an argument for Lunar Inspiration on some fights, on like, what's the fight? Twin Ogron, but that's about it. The rest of the time, Incarnation and Blood Talons are the best choice.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
No, I was only listening to the last half of that. Could you just
repeat
all of it? My primary alt is actually a Feral Druid right now, and I find them to be absolutely a blast. I love playing the class.
Yeah, they're really interesting.
They really are. They really are. And I'm being dead serious. I know I've been joking around a lot, but I'm really enjoying the class right now. Now, my Shadow Priest is still level 90, and it's going to stay that way. So we'll just leave that there.
This is so sad.
Fair enough.
Well, my Shadow Priest is slowly leveling. She's basically leveled from 91.5 to 94 in the garrison only and hasn't left. So she'll be there eventually.
I was hoping you would say 91.5 to 91 in like 3/4 or something. That would have been better.
The XP quests,
slowly.
The garrison XP quests are OP, and then
I know, man, it's nuts.
And then farming stuff like that every day. Lots of XP. Yeah. So eventually. So alrighty, well that's crazy. I'm sure that'll evolve as the tier bonuses come out and stuff like that and works on. But anything else you guys want to close out with before we get out of here? I will caveat that by saying there's going to be an after show today. After shows in 2015 and forward are on the guests' thought. Like it's up to them. It's up to the two guests to bring on the show if they want to do an after show or not. So we will come back with Q&A and stuff like that. If you're watching on YouTube currently, go click the annotation up here, I think. So yeah, we'll be back for after show.
I do have an interesting story to tell during the after show.
Oh boy, stick around for that.
But you know all about that. Yeah.
So we'll go with you first, Bubbles. Anything to close with for Shadow Priest or for Raiders around there or for your Oceanic brethren?
For Shadow Priest, keep trying to buff Mindseer. What Twin Top said before was amazing. You attach it to the mastery and it doesn't have to scale like Mindflay does. So that would be awesome. Just any small buff to it to make it not heal the ads would be amazing.
To heal the ads, indeed. Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mindseer heals. I'm not too sure. So
yeah, it just a little bit.
But apart from that, I'd just like to thank all the people that support Ascension and believed in us, even though we didn't know we were going to do this well. And I'd also like to thank the haters, of course, because a lot of people post on like MMA Champion. We had people posting, "Oh, Ascension have been banned for exploiting Butcher." And
really?
I was like, I woke up from, I was like sleeping. I had a wonderful dream, I believe, and then I woke up and I read this. And I was like, pretty sure I'm not banned. But yeah, and all these other people didn't even think we could be Oceanic first. So all the haters, thank you for fueling me to do better, and I love you.
Yeah, I think if anyone is banned for Butcher, it's the Russian guild that premiered the Water Strat. Just saying.
No
naming, but yeah.
Strat.
What? Right.
Now it's everyone's strat.
It's everyone's strat now, yeah, of course. But all right, so Barry, what about you? Any closing thoughts or comments or anything?
First of all, Druids, you should definitely check out Fluid Druid. One of the best theory crafting communities in the game. And I'd also like to say, for Warriors, you should check out MMO Champion. Guys like Collision and Archimetros, those guys are just superb. Like, really, really good, and I'd like to thank those two especially for helping me out my Warrior last expansion. Like, they were such good advice, and if you find them on MMO Champion and you're a Warrior, listen to them. They know what they're doing. Trust me. And the final thing, if you are interested in Oceanic raiding, if you're a hard worker, you love raiding, and you're prepared to you just love it, like you're stupid that you play it this much, have a look into Ascension. We are always looking for good players. We would love to have you. Thank you. That's it.
Now, if you like wiping numerous times,
oh no!
If you like failing miserably at very easy tasks, and if you prefer raiding for the Horde, Static is always recruiting as well. And the same goes for the Alliance for Crisp. Just wanted to put that out there.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Ryan. You're so kind.
World
so kind.
2283. World 2283.
Yes!
That's where we are right now.
All right, we're a little bit over time. I'm hitting the button now. You guys are ridiculous. The button has been pressed. Thank you all so much for being here and showing up for the show. I know without the holiday time, we've kind of had like a show and then not a show and then a show and then like YouTube content and then the show and all this other stuff like that. But should be every Sunday unless otherwise said. Of course, more information on Final Boss TV, you can go to finalboss.tv. Our YouTube link is down below. Of course, on social media on Facebook and Twitter where you can find out about guests and shows coming up and all that good stuff. Before we get back around to the closing, let's go over to our guests again. We got Missy Bubbles, Shadow Priest, Officer in Ascension. You can follow him on Twitter at BubblesASC. Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Yes, indeed. Then we had Bear with Stick, or just Bear over there. You can go over to ascensiongaming.net, which, to caveat, you guys are working on your website, right?
Yeah.
Bear, you're going to get that?
Yeah, I'm getting on it. I am.
But thank you for being on the show, sir. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me. It was great.
Yeah, waking up as early as you did. My goodness.
No worries.
But we'll have a little bit of a break before the after show, so you can go get yourself a spot of coffee or something. You know, something like that.
Yeah, I might do that.
Right. And of course, there's Brutal, my brother in Beardly Hood. You can go follow him on twitch.tv at the Brutal Static. That's 2 L's in Brutal.
Who else?
There it is. You can go follow him right there.
Right here.
Yeah, right there.
Over there.
And again, stay here for the after show. He has a story to tell us, apparently.
Oh boy, it's a good one.
Okay. And of course, there's me. Again, I was the host, Adam K, aka Bay. You can follow all the hosting stuff here. And of course, I stream all the raids I do with Crisp. World 798,000th, I think we're at right now. Something like that. We keep falling.
Well, I mean, in the span of the show, I mean, people have just been jumping ahead.
Yeah, just fly. Woo! Just getting up there, man. But you can see all the other side content and, of course, the WoW rating right here on Final Boss TV. It was asked earlier in chat, what's our next episode going to be? I had a community special plan for the 11th, but it looks like that might not work out with scheduling and time zone conflicts. I'm not going to say who it is because it's a special episode. So we'll keep that on the back burner. So most likely class junkets, which I had scheduled for the 18th. But our class junkets for Warlords will start on the 11th. Most likely going to be doing Resto Shamans first. We're going to start with healers, and arguably the healer that has the most trouble right now to see if they actually are in trouble. So Resto Shamans next week. Guests, of course, will come out on Twitter and social media this week. If you have questions for Resto Shamans, send them in! Right there on the link down below. But we'll see you all here next week. I have to amend this. It's Trust in the Seal of Tempered Fate. Because I messed up last week. Thank you all so much for that email. But we'll see you all then. See you in the after show. And until next week, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Wave goodbye. Guests. Wave goodbye. Get in. Bear, we're waiting for your wave. Wave. Bear. Stop. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.